Okay, good evening, everybody. We are resuming our town council budget work sessions. We're going to complete our discussion regarding hopefully finalizing the budget tonight. So what I'd like to do is ask Michael or Rob. We had gotten some additional information yesterday regarding some various accounts that the town holds, and the council asked for additional information regarding getting the spending request down to a 3/4 mil increase versus where it is right now. And I think it would probably be helpful if we just walked through this. I'm sure we've all taken a look at it, but it might be a good time for us to ask some questions, and if there's any additional information you could provide to us, that would be great. Mm-hmm. So, Michael, I don't know if you want to walk us through it, or Rob, whoever would like to do that.
Yeah, I think Rob can walk us through it, and then keep in mind. I mean, from my notes, we still have debt services open, department transfers in and out is open, Board of Education, obviously those items on the table. So I think starting with Rob on this revised proposal, I guess, if you will, would be a good starting point to kind of walk through. Yeah, I think it would be great. And quite honestly, I know there were some questions raised last night with respect to fund balance. We'll get into that.
Okay.
We're hoping to have at least a draft back from the auditors, but unfortunately that did not happen. And
nothing yet?
Nothing. And I know Rob's been on them, calling every day.
Okay.
But unfortunately that just didn't materialize, so we do not have that at this point.
No, I spoke to several other colleagues today too who do not have theirs yet either. So, whether it's good or bad, a lot of us are in the same boat.
So just a quick question. I don't think, Rob, irrespective of how that turns out and where we end up, do you foresee it having any impact on what we're going to be doing in terms of the recommendations you've put before us? Is there
no, not at this time. I mean, I don't have exact numbers or percentages to give you as of June 22 yet because I'm waiting for the audit. But from what we're proposing tonight, and we don't have to set the revenue side tonight. Nothing we have to do tonight with the revenue side. It's the expenditure side that we're looking to settle tonight. And we still have time to look at the revenue side. However, I honestly feel that even if you were to look at this in totality, the whole full picture, I think we'll be okay for one more year at what we're proposing.
Okay.
That's my professional opinion at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some of the concern might be that we approach the 12% floor on fund balance, and I don't think we're going to come close to that. And so to maybe allay some of those concerns about that, even though, again, we don't have the audit officially, but, if that was, concern that came up, if that's in the back of your mind, that we're not going to violate that.
Yeah, I think we're still within the ballpark of where we need to be, at least for one more year.
Okay. Okay. So we all have this spreadsheet that you prepared. You just want to walk us through this and
Sure.
Give us some explanations and things we should be focusing on tonight.
Sure. Well, I tried to highlight what, either A, still needs to be done by the council, or B, what we as administration are proposing to you. So the very top line is the four components of our budget that was presented to you. Okay. And the dollar amounts that were presented to you at 4.72%, $68,782,808. From that, I put the next row is what you've already approved as changes. Okay. To date, on the town general government budget, you've reduced it by $12,121. Okay. The first yellow row, if you will, is the Board of Education proposed reduction for the health insurance of $182,107. Okay. We then, based on what you have requested from us at the end of last week, I believe, or this weekend, town manager and I got together and are proposing to reduce the debt budget by $500,000. So that's shown in the second yellow row, a minus $500,000 from debt service. That'll get you to a net budget of $68,088,580, or a 4.31% increase. From that, we have our revenue side of the budget, our direct revenues. That's pretty much everything other than taxation. Okay, so state grants, all our fees, building permits, licenses, things like that. That comes to $15,282,000. That has not changed since we proposed the budget to you. The next row of $600,000 appropriation of fund balance. This is what we were recommending when we proposed the budget to you, $600,000. Okay. However, the next yellow row, based on your request to further lower the budget, we are just saying to put the use of fund balance back to the current year, fiscal year 23 level of $1,424,500. So we're saying that it's, we're okay with using an additional $824,500 from what we originally proposed of $600,000. That gets us to where it'll, calculate the mill rate. And again, this is all estimated currently, because we do not have final revenue figures yet. The proposed mill rate that we requested originally from you based on the budget figures we proposed to you was 32.46. With these changes, the changes being the reduction in the Board of Education budget, the reduction in the debt budget, and the additional use of fund balance, that would get you to a mill rate of 31.43, or a 0.79 mill rate increase over the current year mill rate of 30.64. I believe when we originally presented the budget to you was a 1.72 mill rate increase. So these changes, all combined, all the changes, the ones you've already made plus the ones that are being proposed tonight, will lower that 1.72 mill rate increase to 0.79.
Okay. And what, if we're using these numbers as they are right now, Rob, what is the increase to the total overall increase? You gave us the mill rate increase. What is the total percentage increase to the budget using these numbers?
Of the expenditure budget would be 4.31%.
Yep.
Or, one second.
Oh, okay. The 4.31 is the number you have up here.
That's correct.
The net budget, that is what it is?
Right. That would be a 4. Yes. I'm sorry. I put that down wrong. One second. Let me get the right spreadsheet.
Yeah, because I think the mill rate
Yes,
used to be 2.58%,
Yep.
but the expenditure increase is
Right. The expenditure increase in total, that 4.31 is it's 3.66.
with the adjusted.
The total increase budget to budget year to year on the expenditure side would be 3.66.
3.66.
Yes, the 4.31 was my error. That's actually the Board of Education increase alone.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. I'll open it up for discussion. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding what's has been presented to us tonight?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
wouldn't it be possible, Rob or Mike, that we, instead of using fund balance, use our outstanding ARPA dollars to offset the capital project and leave fund balance alone this year?
There's a portion of capital in ARPA that we could use, but it's not really going to help the reduction.
Okay, can you walk me through that exactly?
Yeah, I think Rob's got a better handle on that, but because there's really only 75,000 that I had increased from 7,800 to 75,000. That's taxable. The rest of it's coming from other sources. So I mean, we did go through the exercise, we did look. I think we've come up with basically just around 200,000, I think, 218, something of that neighborhood that could be used to offset, but that's about it. Yeah.
So we can't use we have 1,585,000 in ARPA dollars. It's my understanding with our ARPA funds, with the mechanism, the revenue replacement mechanism that we elected for when we first got these funds, it gives us a pretty broad range of options to use them for. Aside from the public hearing we would have to have on the capital items in this budget if we wanted to use ARPA dollars, I don't understand why we couldn't use those dollars on this now and scrap the remaining items, not scrap, but not take them off the ARPA project list, use our ARPA dollars now on the capital items in this budget, and then address the capital items that we originally planned for ARPA later on, because we would have more flexibility if we left the fund balance alone. Whereas the ARPA dollars, we have to commit. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, but you also have we can't just pocket the money. It's grant money. And at the same time, what has been, there's a lot more scrutiny on these dollars. And you're already seeing towns across the state and more than likely the country that are being hit for improperly using these funds. We took the $10 million exemption to essentially, because it was given to us because we got below $10 million. Doesn't mean we can just pocket the money. We do have to tie it to something that is essentially brick and mortar. And we substantiate every single project. Now, when this process started, it was the thought that, let's take items off the capital improvement list, to your point, and use monies for that. If you're going to use monies for capital items, a lot of our items that are on the capital list, as you know, are not one-time purchases. They're just over $5,000. That's why they make the list. Okay? If you really want to put up a building, buy a fire truck or something, that's what the ARPA dollars were designed to do. We like Mike said, we targeted today about 218,000 or 210,000 that we could allocate some of these money that are on the current list. If you wanted to add more items to the CIP list and then use the ARPA dollars to offset those additions, you'd end up in the same place, if you follow me. We have, I believe, when we originally reported to the feds in April, which I have to do within the next 3-4 weeks again, we presented 19 or 21 projects, totaling to $5.2 million. We have subsequently made changes over the course of the last 12 months to some of those, simply reducing dollar amounts and allocating to other projects, which we can do here as well. However, I don't think it's prudent, and I don't think we can substantiate using ARPA dollars to say, I don't know, what are the small projects that are on the CIP list? I can't think of any off the top of my head. However, we can use them, for example, the $88,000 that's currently sitting in there for police building improvements, as we've already used 200, so we can add 88. That would get some relief. The changes we're saying the $210,000 we can change and add the ARPA dollars or use the ARPA monies for would reduce the use of fund balance in the subsequent year, in 24 to fund CIP. So I guess my point is we need to be overly conservative and versus aggressive in using these revenues for things that are going to get bounced back and we could get penalized for at some point in time. Again, I have to file this report within the next 30 days, and they are being scrutinized by both the feds and the state. We're trying to keep really good records on everything, which is why everything is going through you, bidding process, everything is going through you, approvals and everything. I would rather not jeopardize that, just saying, okay, let's use $1.5 million for something.
Well, I'm not saying just use it. I'm asking, out of the capital projects requests, which items on that request would be disallowed by the standards put in place for the ARPA dollars?
Probably the majority of them, other than the 3 or 4 that we come up with the $210,000.
So there's a threshold for amount the item has to be?
There's not a dollar amount threshold, no. But at the same time, again, if you want to look at the list, I believe it's on page
280.
280, yeah.
Thank you. That's what I was searching for this whole time, flipping back.
So while you're
That's what I was looking for.
while you're looking,
I'm just picking the first one I happen to see, service vehicle for the Board of Ed. We got pickup trucks, for Public Works. Those are things that we commonly, well, not commonly, but buy routinely every so many years. Again, there has to be some sort of tie to the ARPA dollars that says, hey, this is one-time monies, let's use this for one-time things we don't typically budget for. We are buying pickup trucks. We are, buying police cars. We're not doing building improvements. That's a good one to do. You know what I mean? We don't buy fire trucks very often if you want to buy a fire truck. What else is on here? The revaluation. We can't use revaluation because we budget for that every year. Again, a plow. The rec building roof. That would be a good one. That was part of the 200,000 we were looking at. The filter building roof in Norton Park. It's not something we do all the time. I guess it's being overly conservative, but at the same time, I think the liability is greater than, the benefit, if you will.
so Rob, on the capital schedule that we have,
Yep.
we're using use of unassigned fund balance of $574,925, right?
Yep.
And we also have on our capital projects the Norton Park tennis courts for $329,700. Would that be an item that could be used toward that?
It could be, but we've already offset that particular project and cost with the state of Connecticut.
Oh, with the state,
The
okay.
steep grant.
All right.
Right, so
Okay.
to my, the point of the 574,925, if we were to say move ARPA dollars to 210 or 218, whatever it adds up to, that 210 or 218 would come off the 574. Because we already have specific allocations for some of the projects that are already on here, the state grants.
Okay.
So overall, it would be a benefit. It would help our fund balance.
Right.
It would help our fund balance in 24, yes.
If that's the goal, is to reduce the dependence on fund balance, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
Mostly.
we've used fund balance in the past, and we have a pot of money
Right.
that is one-time money that we're not going to get, and it's just sitting there, losing value day by day with
Right.
the way inflation is. So I figured we could use it. I'm still not clear. Is there language specifically tied to the ARPA dollars that precludes us from using?
Yeah, it's about that thick.
Yeah, and it says we can't use the
Yeah,
ARPA
pretty
dollars
much.
for routine
And
things.
routine, yeah. Again, it has to be tied to something that, hey, this is one time. Use it for, Unfortunately, there was a pandemic. Use the money for what you can to get yourself out of the, do something you don't normally tax people for. And believe me, I've gone with all my committees and directors of finance across the state. We've talked about this. And there has been nothing in my career and many of the people I've spoken to that scare us as much as this because the scrutiny is just way too much. You saw what happened in West Haven. That was just on the state amount, let alone the federal amount. There are committees set up in the state. I'm sure you've heard about them within your organization to review these things specifically and only. I believe you probably saw the audit report that came out at the end of January, I believe it was, on the state monies and all the towns that did just things you're saying. Let's use it for this. Let's use it for this, and then all of a sudden it's disqualified. So I don't want to put the town in a position to be disqualified for something that is $50,000. You know what I mean? I'd rather err on the side of being conservative and say, okay, we can give you 210 or 218 right now because that fits what we've already done. But I think above and beyond this, for what's currently on the list, I don't see any more right now, unfortunately.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Wizarko.
I want to make sure I understand this. As far as raising taxes, only $75,000 of what we tax people next year is actually going towards our capital budget next year, correct?
Correct.
Based on the currently proposed budget, yes.
Currently, right, what we're looking at. And we're looking to use $204,925 from unassigned fund balance. Is that where we're getting the numbers, you know, like you mentioned 210,000. Is that kind of why we're talking about that amount of money?
Well, again, the ARPA dollars would be an additional revenue source.
Correct.
So if we've already essentially balanced this expenditure and revenue budget with the dollars you see there,
Yep.
and we add another revenue source, then we just have to reduce a previous revenue source. The one I would reduce, if you wanted to do this, would be the use of fund balance, which helps us again in
Correct.
24.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where the question is, do we have any capital items that we feel wouldn't get kicked back to us? And what happens if you get disqualified? Is it a fine? Is it a?
Well, all of a sudden you got to come up with the money because you're not going to use, you know, all of a sudden it's a direct draw on fund balance, all things being equal, because the grant money is not going to pay for it.
Okay.
You know, it's almost like you're all familiar with this, the school construction reimbursement, you know, ineligibles, if you will. It's the same thing. So if we submit a request for reimbursement and we think it's eligible, okay, great. You know, the state will pay for it, and then it's deemed ineligible, but we got to pay for it.
Yeah.
It would kind of be the same concept. I do not know off the top of my head, but I can look if there are any penalties or anything that are associated with it. I don't know.
Okay.
That I can look into, though.
Okay, so using your recommended appropriation from fund balance, it's going to be 1.424 million, is that right? 1.4 million or so for next year. That's what we're using this current year. We have earmarked.
It would
for
be
this
the
year.
same dollar amount, yes. So there'd be
And
no
so,
change.
Rob, tell me about that, because you had also expressed a little concern about using fund balance to do some of these things. And I'd like to know, are we comfortable in doing this? Are you confident that this is going to be okay? I know that we don't have our audit from last year completed yet, so we're kind of trying to work through that. I know you gave us a preview of where you think we're going to end up at year end. So all those things put together, you're confident that we will be all right using that number?
Yes, I am. Like I said, for one more year. I think we need to revisit it during the next budget cycle, the next 12 months subsequent to this budget cycle concluding. But yes, we're taking, as I explained, I think in one of the previous meetings, we're taking a hit on a fund balance percentage in 22, so it will show on the 22 audit. Okay. Which is why I'm hesitant to say, okay, here's my estimate versus what truly comes out from the audit, because I want to make sure that I'm close to what they're showing. So budget audit to audit 22 to 23. If we use the same dollar amount, it's flat.
Right.
Okay. So
right.
The hit's already taken in 22. We can't change what we've already done. So we've already taken the hit.
Okay. And you're not at this point in time estimating any additional large withdrawals from fund balance. I mean, I know that's like looking in the future, but at this point in time, we've taken care of the health insurance fund. So
Correct.
that's off of the concern. So at this point in time, you don't anticipate any other larger issues that we may have to go to fund balance for?
Other than using the fund balance for CIP.
Right.
Which we still have to do for this year. I still have to give you that appropriations, which I believe is just under 600,000.
Yep.
We already did the 425 for the health insurance. That's positive. I mean, there are negatives to using fund balance for operational uses, as you know, but at the same time, we've gotten rid of some of the negatives that are on our records with regards to rating agencies. And I tried to, in coming up with this analysis with Mike, I tried to look at it from the eyes of a rating agency. What are they doing? Why are they? And, it's pretty much, a green column and a red column, positives and negatives. And yeah, there's still a negative of using fund balance to cover operational costs, but we got rid of a lot of the other negatives that they were citing over the last few years. And in fact, we got rid of the health insurance deficit a year earlier than we had originally planned, and from what we had originally told them too. So I think, how we've structured the budgets over the last few years and using the one-time revenues, they're all really gifts, and it's nice. And, we've been saying for the last few years, we got to start filling those holes back up eventually. But I'm saying I'm pretty confident our percentage will still be within the range of where we need to be of the policy that we have set up. And I think we can definitely do this for one more year at least, with the expectation that, 12 months from now, we're going to have to take a look at this and really, what do we do now? And see, but I don't know, where the expenditures will come in next year, other than knowing that, part of the fiscal cliff with some of these other one-time revenues is also coming. So, but I'm confident with regards to the 24 budget anyway, that we can do as Mike and I have proposed.
Okay, and in terms of the closeout of our ARPA funds, do you foresee any serious issues? I don't know that we've used any of it for ongoing operation, have we?
No, and that was part of the 19 or 21, whatever, however number projects we had.
Okay.
They were all really, again, larger ticket items, one-time either purchases or brick and mortar, some of those things that would fall off our capital improvement list, the CIP list, that would be on there for years,
right,
or several years to fund the total cost of the project itself. So these dollars were used for those type of purposes. Again, essentially what that did is it took $5 million off our CIP list, whether it would be in 22, 23. I mean, over a number of years, it took $5 million off the list.
Okay.
And to answer your question, no, I think what we have on the list is perfectly, and that's why I want to kind of stay in that path.
Stay in that lane.
Right, and again, I have to report within 30 days, so I'll know, I'll have more information, if you will.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other questions or concerns about what we're going to be doing or what the proposal is here before us?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a few questions. So I understand that Councilman Rocco wants to reduce the fund balance by some ARPA funds, but if we took that 218 from ARPA, still took the 1.424500 from the fund balance, the 500 from the debt management or debt miscellaneous, and then raise this Board of Ed up to 200, which is, it's under 18,000 additional for the health insurance reduction that the Board of Ed had. So raise that up. What would that do to our figures? Would you be able to give us a number for that?
I'm unfortunately not really sure what you tried to put across there.
Okay, so the 182,107 would go up to 200,000.
Okay.
We'd keep the 1.424500 reduction from the fund balance.
Okay.
We'd keep the debt management reduction of 500,000, and we'd take 218 from ARPA. The 218 from ARPA.
Okay. Well, the only impact that would have on the mill rate would be the $17,893.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wouldn't, the 218 wouldn't, okay,
All that would do would be reduce the use of fund balance.
okay,
That'll be additionally appropriated during
Yep.
24 towards CIP.
okay.
So the only effect that we could have is to take the 75,000 of capital that we have in our operating and move that out, right? Capital, the 75,000 we have in our operating for capital.
Which, right, I mean, if you were to do that, yes, that would lower
That would make a
that would
difference.
lower the operating
Right.
budget, which theoretically, all things being equal, would lower the mill rate, yes.
Okay.
But that would increase the use of your fund balance for CIP.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other ideas?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I had a chance, I had a lot of questions. I spent some time with the town manager and the finance director this afternoon. I was hesitant with the fund balance numbers and some of the reductions, but, after talking to them, and they reiterated again, tonight, we've had some of the same questions. I could support what's on this, if we go forward. And tonight, I know we're just handling the expenditure side. We can
Right.
deal with the revenues once we talk about setting a mill rate. But, as far as the expenditure side, I'm comfortable with this. I'm comfortable with the numbers. I think there's a confidence in the fact that, using that much fund balance again next year, while we are going to have some discussions next year at this time about how much we use, that, we certainly can get through the next fiscal year using that much. And, I'd like to see us move forward with this particular proposal, if everyone is up for that. Now, granted, I believe tonight all we have to do is handle the capital budget, the debt service budget, and the Board of Ed budget is all that we technically tonight will handle. But moving forward, and once we do set the mill rate, I'm comfortable with some of the revenue changes that are offered here in this document.
Okay, anybody else? Have any
Madam Chair?
thoughts?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would agree with Councilman Wazorko. When I saw this last night, I did have some reservations, specifically about the fund balance. I know we had discussions on that even last year when we took a little bit more out of it in order to lower the mill rate in May. But really, listening carefully to Mr. Buden tonight, I'm fine with this and going forth with what has been laid out here.
Great. There is a lot that goes on the municipal side of the budget. It's a lot of things that we look at. Lots of revenue streams, lots of capital, lots of expenditures, and all of this impacts the final decision as to what we're going to spend next year and how it's going to be paid for. And the mill rate is of concern, and expenditures are a concern always. So how do we pay for these things? Councilwoman Tompkins suggested a number of Board of Education to be at an even $200,000. Does anybody have any objection to that? It's $18,000 difference than what's here right now. It's $182,107 due to an insurance adjustment, which was reduced, and we have to take that off of the operating budget. And she has suggested we make it an even $200,000 for the Board of Education. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Madam Chair?
Mr.
I wouldn't say I have a problem with it. That's not the right question, but I mean, I don't. I think it's barely 1/100th of a mil difference. I just, to cut it and make it a nice round number just for the sake of making it a nice round number, I just don't know if there's the benefit of a 1/100th mil difference.
Okay, we can make it bigger if you want.
Well, I don't think you're misinterpreting what I said. I think you're trying to create a one-liner.
I got it.
I just, no, I wouldn't be in favor of it, but,
You wouldn't vote against it? Or?
In the end, I mean, I don't really, in the sense of voting, as my family reminds me every day, is technically I don't need to be here because I'm not one of the 5 votes you need. So.
Oh, don't give up.
I'm not giving up. That ain't happening. We got to deal with the middle school after this. So.
Well, that's another story.
We'll be right back.
That's another part of this whole puzzle too. It's a part of our large landscape of debt service, how we finance things, how we fund things. What can we think we can do to keep everything moving forward, not just certain parts. So yes, you're right. We have the middle school.
So just, again, I'd have to say certainly wouldn't hold it up over $18,000 when you're talking about $63 million budget. But, I just don't see the benefit of reducing it an extra $18,000 for the sake of saving people. I don't even know, is that $1 a year in taxes? Maybe $1.50.
Not
Okay, anybody else? Have any comments? Nope. Okay. So is everybody ready to go forward to start approving our capital, the Board of Education, and debt service tonight? Or do you need more time? Or do you have more questions that are going to come up that we could answer for you either tonight?
I'm ready to move on.
You're ready to go?
I could go move
Everybody?
forward. Ready to go.
Yes? Sure. Okay. Okay, so Rob, we're going to look to you to provide the numbers for us. I'd like you to change the Board of Education number, please.
I think you would need
Okay.
so what, yeah, I need a motion. Tell me what you want to do.
All right, I need a motion to approve our capital in the amount of, is that what you need?
You want to start with capital, okay.
Well, how, does it matter the order, whatever you
Okay,
think
let's
is
Start
appropriate.
with capital, because it's the easiest, so that's Department 710. Okay, and we've recommended reducing it by 500,000, which would put the bottom line at,
Are you talking about debt service?
I'm sorry.
Debt service? Yeah, I was gonna say.
I apologize, yes,
No,
debt
that's
service, Department 710,
Okay.
which would make the budget
$710.
$3,930,350, or a reduction of 500,000, or 11.29%.
That's page 226.
That's right, I had it marked today.
For everyone.
Debt service, yeah. Okay.
So the bottom, excuse me, the number is 3,930,350.
Correct.
Okay, can I have a motion for that, please?
350?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to fund Department 710 in the amount of $3,930,350.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
If you want to go in numerical order, the next budget would be the transfers out budget, Department 840.
Okay.
This budget currently is set at $816,089, which is an increase of $67,150, or 8.97%. That entire increase is for the town capital.
Okay.
It's found on page 237.
Thank you. Oh, 237.
What was the amount?
Rob, can you repeat that number?
All right.
I'm sorry,
We have a
yes.
Number,
Repeat what-
do we need a number for, we need a motion for 816,089, is that the number?
That's correct.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to approve Department 840 in the amount of $816,089.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. What next, Rob? Board of Ed or Capital?
Well,
Or is there more?
no, you can do the Board of Ed.
Go ahead.
Okay, if you are, okay, well, what's your,
200.
200? Okay,
Make it easy.
Yes.
okay.
So it would be, it would be
Let me
40
just get
yeah,
the-
43,
Yep.
$43,071,797. That's what it would be.
No, yes, $43,071,797, an increase of $1,763,000, or 4.27%.
Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to approve the Board of Ed budget. What was the department number?
910.
910. Department 910 in the amount of $43,071,797.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And if you wanted to approve capital and, the
Yep.
expenditure side of capital at this point anyway. Again, I think that was on page 280, Mike.
Yes.
What was that?
280.
280 to 281, yeah, in terms of capital, those items were, the ones we talked about were items 6, 8, and 42.
253.
That list, yeah.
Number 250.
The bottom number's on page 283.
The gross expenditure number on that page is $1,954,625. That includes both town and Board of Ed.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wazorko?
So moved. I didn't write the number down, so.
1,954,625.
Correct.
Thank you.
954, 625.
I have a second.
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so
Okay.
now the two motions you need are the two budgets that go out to vote to the taxpayers. What do you want first? Okay. So I'll give you the general government numbers first.
Okay?
Bottom line, general government budget is $24,998,890, an increase of $622,467 or 2.55%.
So that was 24998,980.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right, you want to give us the board? Well,
Okay, sure.
then we'll just do them both.
Okay. Board of Education budget is $43,071,797, an increase of $1,763,000 or 4.27%. In total, the two budgets equals $68,070,687, an increase of $2,385,467 or 3.63%.
68070,687.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, can I have a motion for item A, the general government number, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Tompkins.
motion to approve the general government budget in the amount of $24,998,980.
Second.
$890.
$890. Okay, I thought I repeated that and you said.
Okay, well,
Okay, 24,998,890.
correct, yes.
Okay,
Second.
Okay, thank you.
and I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Board of Education.
Thought I
May I have a
had done.
motion?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Wazorko.
I'd like to make a motion to fund the Board of Education fiscal year 2024 budget for $43,071,797 for a total expenditure budget of $68,070,687.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it for now?
That is it for now, that's everything, yes.
Okay. So then the revenue, we don't approve until whenever, set the mill rate, whenever, we can
Yeah.
do that further down the
The
road.
state could still change information too. As you know, the state's still voting on it, so we wait till the last minute until you're ready to set the mill rate to give you all the latest information.
Who knows?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, well, before we leave tonight, I must give my truest thanks to the council members up here that worked through this. This is not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of time and energy and complex understanding of issues that we don't normally deal with. So to all of you, I want to thank you very, very much for everything that you did to get through this, and I mean that with most sincerity. Rob, thank you again for your help and your
You're welcome.
staff that helps put all this together. I know it takes months and months, and as not professional accounting people up here, I appreciate your patience with us in trying to explain things that are not easy,
Try.
at least from our perspective. And
Very good.
Yeah.
Michael and Andy, please, thanks to you and your staff also for everything you've done to work us through this. It is appreciated, and we do sincerely mean that. Superintendent LePage, to your staff as well, I know that they spend much time on this in the Board of Education. Thank you for all your diligence and all the back and forthing of all the emails and requests for information and your understanding of we're trying to just do the best job we can do for everybody in Plainville. So I do thank you all very, very much for that. Okay, so if there is no other business that we need to take care of tonight, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.